welcome to the Happy Me Mental Health series entitled Unshakable Joy. So, we're halfway through our series to talk about how to find joy, the unshakable joy, despite life circumstances, right? Because life happens. So, today, to talk about her experience after an accident and a disability and how she is thriving right now and helping
Mhm.
this specific demographic, I have the honor of introducing and welcoming our speaker today, Roxy B. Rocker. Roxy is the owner of Embracing Wellness and Inspiring Disability. She provides therapeutic massage, manual lymphatic drainage, coaching, and practices holistic care. She has been working in the disability sector since 2002 and a person with disability herself. Roxy has successfully navigated her life through disability services like job training, employment opportunities, and independent living, even having her own driver's license with adaptive driver's training and recently home care services. And she just also launched her brand new magazine to cater to this community and living the life to the fullest. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Roxy. Thanks, Roxy, for sharing your time and
Hello.
talent with us today.
I love Unshakable Joy. How powerful is that? This is so nice that it's going to be intimate. I wish there was more people here. That's okay though. I'm Roxy B. Rocker. I live in a little town called Boxborough, Massachusetts. I have my studio in Concord, Massachusetts, and I have a small boutique therapeutic massage practice where I really like to cater to people who have chronic injury, chronic pain, or live life that have some kind of need for support in their body more than just a general massage where you need to relax, or a general massage where you just might, need a little bit of deep tissue and you're still just trying to get relaxation. I'm really more trying to find the roots of your causes and get into your parasympathetic nervous system, or really enhance your lymphatic system and your circulation. But today, I really want to talk about um, living life after trauma and car accidents or things that have happened to you in your life. I also would love to just even include a little bit around how, when you're labeled your entire life and then you get more labels, that you can really overcome some of these things, but it really has to come from this internal place inside of you that reminds you that you can be resilient and you can persevere. And it's not easy. And life is not, it's not easy. So I was labeled as a child. They found out when I was about 4.5 years old that I had a leg discrepancy and some pelvic issues. So my whole leg extremity is on my right, were one leg shorter than the other. And I had to wear a heel lift at a very young age. So there was always a label. There was always some kind of something about me that was different and unique. And acceptance or not accepted by society, and always told, by society, you can't do, you can only do. So fill in the blank what that X was, but you were put into a box that said, this X is only for you and this X is only for them. And I didn't like that. From my whole life growing up, I did not like that. So when I get to the accident part, that also happened in the hospital. Um, so growing up, I lived in Jersey, and that was okay because they had a diversity and uniqueness. And even my educators always spoke about inclusion and how you could be inclusive. Johnny is going to come and he's going to be wearing glasses, and Roxy's going to be getting a new heel lift today. Sammy broke her arm and she'll be wearing a cast. So it was always introduced that something different might be happening in the classroom. But then as soon as I moved to Arizona, the kids, and we were starting to get into tween years, the kids were very superficial and it was very bad. And if I didn't have the money, if I didn't have the clothing and I didn't have the look, I was not included. And I was told that I was not included. So they beat me up, they made fun of me, they mocked me. From I moved out there fourth grade to high school, it was cruelty. I had some friends, but it was cruelty, and they literally did not want me part of their world. I did not belong, and they literally made sure that I knew that I did not belong. 70s, 80s, it was not fun. I also did not have fun at home, because my parents were very dysfunctional and my brother was not very nice. So there was labels put on me at school, there was labels put on me at home, at boxes everywhere. And so there was a lot of trauma going on in my life. But if you look at me in pictures, there's something about me that was always unique because I always had this joy somewhere, despite all of the nonsense. But I was fierce too. I literally did not like the whole idea that I didn't belong. And I did not like the idea that I wasn't included. So I would look at my teachers and my mentors and say, why can't I be? Why? I want more. I always wanted more. If I You told me I could not dance in the program, but all the other kids could dance in the program, I would want to know why, and I would want to know how do I improve myself so I could become more and have more. So growing up, that's always been a challenge. And then um we'll fast forward. I went through college, got my driver's license, domestic violence, yada 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 yada. I've had a very traumatic life. It's not been fun. It has not been good. But in I met a spiritual teacher healer, and I really wanted more of God, and I started developing more of that. So I think that one of the things that you can do in your life, if your life handed you a really bad deck at any point, look into your spirituality, look into your internal self. And if you can't, find a mentor, a guru, a community. Because you know what? If you can lock hands with something, whether that's your divinity or people that can help you through something, whatever that is for you, I think you can find some happiness within. I think you could really find some kind of joy or find a passion, because that's important. We have to know, we have to kind of know ourselves. And if we don't, it's a really challenging obstacle. It could be one of the worst disabilities, really. Could be one of the worst limiting things in our lives, of not knowing who you are and not accepting who you are and loving that part of you. So, lots of trauma, lots of things happen in life. And but around that, I would find mentors, gurus, people. I would just find people. It was like a collector of that. And those people would help me through some of the scariest times in my life. Um, I moved out to Massachusetts, and I didn't have really good luck in jobs. And I would tell you that getting my massage license healed me. When 2020 hit and I was working for somebody else from 16 to 20, when COVID hit, I probably went through the worst depression that I probably could have went through, because they also took away something that was very healing from me. I loved helping people. I was a disability specialist before, but this therapeutic work was so deep and healing inside. While I heal myself, I get to heal others, and that cycle of beauty brought so much joy and depth to me. So fast forward into COVID, I got really sick after COVID. Um, and that year of 2021 hit and I went from having COVID to not knowing what was wrong after COVID to going through the most horrible illness I could have ever went through. It turned out that I might have had diverticulitis that turned into an infection in my stomach. So I reopened my practice through PPP loans. Now I'm feeling even more empowered because all of a sudden now I'm going to be my own practitioner and I'm going to have my own world, and that's wonderful. And they tell people with disabilities you can't do anything, you're not able to, you're not capable, you're not this. So again, we have to find things inside of us to make us believe and help us know. Find that mentor, find that gift, find that book, whatever you can find that helps you know that you're capable and you can have more. You can have what you believe in inside of you. And it's true, because if I can do it, anyone can. And, I could be that mentor for you because I've been through it. But as my practice just started opening, I had to pause and have colon surgery. I probably only spent 6 months in my studio, if not 4.5 that year. And then the big one happened. Hmm. Scariest thing I've been through lots, but this was one of the scariest things I've ever been through. So I healed from the colon surgery, went back to work December 26th of 2021. I was out. It was frosty that day. It was raining hail. It was bad weather. I shouldn't have even been out. And I was in a great mood. I had so much joy that day. I was happy. But the roads were terrible. The weather was terrible. And I turned down a road I normally don't go down. I go down it on occasion, but it's not my normal road to go to my office or grab anything. And that morning, I went down a road that was not salted and was icier than anything. And I said, "Ooh, this is going to be bad. I'm really compromised." And then I was trying to get me out of it, and I don't know anything from there. Except I heard a couple of things. Don't move. What? Your neck. Don't move. Your neck. You're going to hurt your neck if you move. Scary. Like, barely even know this man's name. I touched myself, and I was a half naked slab on a metal thing. And I said, "Well, what's wrong?" He's like, "You're a trauma. You're a trauma. You're going to the hospital. We're on our way to Leahy. You're a trauma." And so I just went, "Oh, okay." I took a deep breath and passed out. They told me when I was in the hospital that I was talking in the ER. I don't know anything from the time I heard that ambulance driver to the time I woke up in whatever hospital room I was in, and there were 6 women around me, which I found very fascinating. That I had a tribe of 6 women around me, and they were rolling me around on the bed. And again, "Don't move your neck, your neck, your neck, your neck." And I said, "Well, am I gonna die?" I'm like, "Am I in the ICU? Where am I? What's going on?" They're like, "You're in the hospital, you were a trauma, and you're here, and we've got to take care of you, but you have to be really careful of your neck because you could be paralyzed." Um, Scary as anything. Horrifyingly. I've been through stuff, but that was just like mind blowing because one, I don't know where the day went. I have no, and I still can't grab that time period, and I still can't picture the accident. I saw the car. This car was scary. Um, and so I think what happens is when your mind goes through that. Plus, my mind was shaked up. My face was about this swollen, and I had a neck collar on it. I bruised all through here, 2 hematomas, and I broke my nose. My nose is cuter now. I had to get a rhinoplasty. And then they were very concerned about this eye because they said that if I don't get a plastic surgery, and you can barely see the scars, if I didn't get the plastic surgery, this eye could have gone. I broke my orbital bone, my nose, and I had a brain injury with two hematomas, and I fractured my C2. Whew. So I'm already labeled, and now I'm in the hospital. And guess what they did? They labeled me again, and they said, "Oh, you're disabled. You're disabled." And I said, "Well, girl, ladies, I've already been there." I said, "So how much more am I going to be disabled?" I said, "Can I have your hands? Can I have your hands?" And they're like, "What? Why?" And I said, "Because if I can do this and I can manipulate your body, or at least there," I said, "I might be okay. And if I remember how to do that, then I'm going to be back to work in 8 weeks." That persistence, that inner, that knowing. And I think we all have it truly inside of us. But if you don't, again, I'm going back to that. We have to find people that can lift us up. So when I sat in the hospital and they told me that I had my label yet again, this time it made me strong, and it made me more fierce, because truly, how dare they, because something deep happened to me and traumatic happened to me, and I can't remember things. They now are going to try to take another chapter into my life and say, "You're incomplete. You're not enough, and you're going to have a harder life. Here's your walker. Here's this. We don't know what your life is going to be like, but you're going to have a real hard one." So I sat there and I listened, and I was in that hospital for 11 days, them trying to figure out what was going to happen to me. And I sat there and I went, "We have to do some more advocacy, because this is horrible. How scary are we scaring people? And how traumatizing for people that they go through an accident, they're told they're disabled, they're told that they're not going to be enough, and that their life is almost over. And you don't ever, the only nice thing that ever happens is maybe you get a chaplain and you get a friendly human being that might come in and want to hold your hand and make you laugh that day. But most of the time, it's dark, it's depressing, and it's scary. So I sat in that hospital thinking about, how can I make a chapter for others that can make an impact in their lives? And I'm thinking about events, and I'm thinking about, creating things, telling stories about when we go through this trauma, when we have this horrible pain, let alone pain inside our body, pain outside our body, and then listening to people that we don't even know and don't know us telling us that our life is going to be over and that we're not going to have anything. The other thing that I got to look forward to all day, and I mentioned that I had domestic violence, and I was starting to date again, and my relationships weren't that great that I was trying to get back into. Um, but I was starting to talk to somebody in November, just through texting and things. And what was fascinating to me is this man texted me every day, sometimes twice a day in the hospital. "How are you? Are you doing okay? Yeah, I remember when I got hit by the car and my arm got sliced, and I had to go to the hospital, and I was really not doing well, and how much they told me that I wasn't going to be able to do much." Yeah, I remember when I was in the hospital, and he wrote me every single day. And I've never had a male by my side when I've healed. I've always fiercely healed it through me and the devotion with God. So when I got out of the hospital, that man and I still started talking for the first time on the phone. And, a little bit of flirting and a little bit of this here. And he and I built a friendship while I was healing. And now he's living in my house and he's my man. So I've never had a healthy relationship, right? I've never had a healthy relationship. And it's the first time I remember I was in the house. I had the neck collar on. I was trying to do something by myself, independent. And I had to call out for him and rely on him. And he had to scoop me up half naked off the floor in the bathroom. And he's like, well, what were you doing? I was like, bathrooming and trying to see if I could get into the shower. And I slipped and just lost my balance because I had no balance from my neck all the way down to my body was already, I already had major problems in my body. So the neck just made it worse. So it was really interesting for the first time that it wasn't a mentor. I mean, it was still God, but it wasn't a mentor, that I actually had a partner helping me through this traumatic event, and knowing that I could have somebody there a couple of times a week and not be alone for the first time and have to handle it alone. I had community. Actually, what was beautiful was as soon as that car accident happened, community surrounded me. And they did a GoFundMe campaign, and they wanted to make sure that I had a good car and not an old car. And they helped. I went and got a loan. I had about $10,000 to $11,000 to put down on the car. And people surrounded around me and rallied around me and did this beautiful GoFundMe. I'll never forget that car accident because it really impacted my life in more ways than I would have ever expected. And that happened 2 years ago. And after that, I really feel like my life has been blessed and kissed, and I'm still here and more valuable. More, I now know my worth for the first time than I knew it beforehand. And I overcame things, but the accident made me feel more worthy, more capable, and more supported than I've ever felt in my life. And that's an interesting concept because even though I've overcome things, to know that this thing that conked out my brain and almost snapped my body that changed me didn't change me. I mean, that's almost remarkable in its own self. So I'm going to keep reiterating that, you know, maybe people have family, and that's a good thing. And maybe that family is very supportive and very caring. But I think if we can find external people that we can rely on and within community, within mentorship, and truly realize that they're part of our lives and that they might have a story too that can interconnect. I mean, how joyous is that if we can find those interconnections and realize that we are connected and we are together, just like I find those connections on a human body. What if we can make those connections more deeper? Because the community really did surround me. People were doing all sorts of things while that accident was happening. And the building blocks of knowing that you're feeling more worthy, even though the world is telling you you're gonna pretty much just have to stay home and have no life. Go to doctor's appointments. Is that really a life that we want to live? Or do we want more? Do we want to achieve things? So I feel like I feel like on many levels, even though I can't remember why and what happened in that moment, I was given another chance. And when that another chance came, my life started to thrive and shift in a way that I would have never expected. Fast forward to 2022 was just kind of a healing year, but 2023 was one of the most remarkable years, and different aspects of it happened. Um, I never have seen a year of thriving where one community was surrounding me. I was winning awards. I was getting grants for my business, the flow of it. I was meeting people that were like that tribe, that interconnectedness. I met the one of the most phenomenal photographers. I think that sometimes we have this idea that, oh, I can't afford this, or oh, I can't have this, or I'm not worried of having this. But if you make those connections, they're going you're going to discover that those connections are invaluable to you. And those connections will help bring things into your life that helps you grow and helps you thrive and helps you shift into a better being. And it was very fascinating to watch a whole year of awards, grants, photography that I've never seen myself look so beautiful in photography or even enjoy it so much. Photo journal shoots, building blocks and building blocks. I've never, and then I learned a trade with the manual lymphatic drainage. Things started making life different and easier, even though the pain was a little bit worse. And I was going through a lot of things in my body, but I really do feel like the joy became more magnified. I would love, I know we're a small and mighty group, but I would love to turn it into a smaller conversation with us and find out, or has there been times in your own life that something traumatic or something pretty devastated happened and you were able to shift it and turn it around? And what did you learn from that?
Yeah, Roxy, one of the notes I took down early in your talk was serving, learning and being able to do something that serves others brought so much to you. And I found that for myself, actually, I didn't know that I was going to write a book, but in the process of doing that, and writing my book on grief and all of those experiences, it was very healing for me. And to hear back from people what the book brings to them, that is kind of like what you shared. It just begins to open us back up when we find it could be the most surprising thing. But I think, as you say, just staying focused on, I'm a vital human being and there's something I have to give, and just staying with that intention, and then watching, to your point you just made, watching who are the people who are showing up, because they may be bringing me a gift and I should be awake to that. So, yeah. So,
Mhm.
That's awesome. I am
That's
just
so
so,
beautiful.
yeah, beautiful. So inspired by your story. Like, I've never um I've never known anyone who suffered that much because from your story from childhood to,
Yeah.
the latter part, but you have shown us, and I actually want to ask, what is that thing that keeps you getting back up and then getting back up stronger, not just, getting back on
True.
your feet, but you actually transform your life in every kind of like a, you would say, like a bump that happened in your life. So what inspired you, or what's that one thing, if there is one, or what are the things? I love that you mentioned the, knowing yourself and the support system, which is very important. But aside from those two, what else drives you?
I think there's a divinity spark that has always been inside of me. Like, I remember when I was young, like 13, 14 till my 30s, I would always kind of say, the angels are holding me up. The angels are holding me up. I think there's a divinity spark in me. I think that there was something that I was born with. And I probably was put on this planet because I was born with this, that I had to be resilient, because I
Mhm.
wasn't handed a deck with great parents. I wasn't handed a deck with a great body, and what society said. I wasn't handed a great deck with a pretty face or pretty eyes. What and I will say that what society says. And then you believe that for such a
Mm,
long time. I mean,
mm,
there have been years that I hated myself and I did not like myself. I was scared of the massage table because I thought they were all going to insult me and throw things at me. You know, I
mm,
was literally scared that they were going to be like, no, you're not it. And I would be like, okay. And when I couldn't believe when I started doing the massage work and they handed me credit cards and I was just like, and I looked at the owner and I was like, why are they handing me so many credit cards? Like, what is going on? She was like, you're extremely talented and they see it and they see your confidence. And I was like, okay. And so I had to even learn how to become more confident in the treatment room. And when I started seeing them heal, I was healing. But
mm,
there's some level divinity spark that reminds me I have to be resilient. And if I don't, I'll put my parents had mental illness. I will put myself into a spin and I will put myself into a bad place where I'm crying all the time and I'm anxious all the time. Even my boyfriend has to put up with me when I'm overtired and I'm whining and I'm frustrated. You know, things aren't going my way. I'm in the car, I got frustrated, but then as soon as I come into my calming room, I'm okay. Everything's going to be okay. I'm in my room. It's my cave. It's my place. But there's something inside of me that always reminded me that I had to get up. Because if these people were going to beat me down, is it my responsibility to allow them? And then they're going to win? What the hell good is that going to be for anyone in my life? And if I'm supposed to be a helper person or a servant on this planet, how am I going to be a servant on this planet if I just live the same life my mom did in all of
mm,
that
mm.
angst, misery, and sadness? And so what? I was just going to live that same life my mom did and not have anything viable that could provide for other people? And I think that watching my mom and being stuck at home watching her because she was a helicopter mother, watching that was very, very difficult. And it made me frustrated because I was just like, there's got to be more in life than just this. Like, I see successful women. I have a lot of mentors that are successful women, but my mom
Mm.
is not. And I became one. Yes.
Such a success story. Really, really inspiring. And your magazine is
Mm,
gonna amplify that
yeah,
advocacy, correct?
absolutely. Give me 1 second. I will pull it up.
I know she just recently launched last week,
Yeah,
right?
like
A couple of
2 weeks
days,
ago.
two
I'm a
weeks.
little bit behind the
Mm,
8 ball. I'll tell you the sweet story of the magazine. So I'm in an anthology. I hope I have a book before I leave this planet. My own book. Um, I got into an anthology and I wrote a chapter and I called it The Long Journey. There's a media reel coming out. So the lady that was in that, so my spiritual teacher said to me that I should accept my disability as my ability. That was very hard to accept for a long period of time. I cried a lot.
mm,
And my so I connect with people. I do a lot of networking, not just locally, all over the place. So I met this woman. We tried a couple of things. We tried her loan program. Then she was in something else that she wanted me to do, and it was weird and awful. And then she was like, I do these books. And I was like, okay, tell me more about it. And it was reasonably priced. So I did her anthology and I got into the book and the book came out November, right before the holidays, and it became
mm,
a bestseller in 2 weeks and I couldn't believe it. And it was during that milestone year that was like I had the Midas
mhm.
touch. So I prayed and I said, well, what else could happen? What else is there? Like I've been wanting to do something since that car accident. And I heard you're going to create a magazine. This was in December.
Yeah.
I created this magazine in 4 months because of my community. It's the inaugural issue. The young lady right here, she is my employee. She's my only employee. She's got cerebral palsy. Sometimes she's just so silly about how she gets fussy on things, but she's a powerhouse too. She's like this really strong young lady. I'm going to read the inclusion poem in here that I did not write, but this is by Daniel Kemp. Inclusion is Inclusion is a word that gets said so much by providers in the disability space that, in my opinion, it loses its meaning. What is inclusion? It's often easier to describe what inclusion is not. It's not the IEP language of least restrictive environment. It's not a concert where a performer uses a wheelchair and can't access the stage. It's not an inspirational moment at the Special Olympics game. When you get down to it, inclusion is being a part of the community. You're not an afterthought. Events have access included from their planning stages. When I picture inclusion, it's a dancer's dom that has a quiet area that also gives you a sensory overload area to calm down and return when you're ready. It's a community picnic that has wheelchair accessible paths for all the exhibitors and the food. It's a world where you're not othered, a world where you're a valued contributor, a world where you're welcome everywhere and not just at disability events. It's being invited and feel like you belong.
Wow,
So
that's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's great.
so
Give us
powerful.
a clap
Mhm.
on that.
Daniel Camp, she's this
Daniel
powerhouse
Camp.
mom. Powerhouse mom, also has neurodiversity. So the beauty of the magazine is that there are people here with disabilities, but
Mm-hmm.
also allies that don't have disabilities. So the whole concept is let's educate,
Right.
let's make people aware, let's talk about disability. So I'm hoping
Yes.
next week that I'm going to be doing some filming where we're going to just be doing that. We're just going to be sitting around having disability conversations with people with disabilities.
That's amazing.
So
Is this distributed in Massachusetts or nationally?
no, it can be national. I have a
Wow,
link that I
yes.
can give you through Thrive Cart. The magazine electronic cost $8. I only have a very few copies that cost $16 where you get both. And I'm
Mm.
hoping within the next 72 hours I can get more out. I'm just a little bit behind because this thing came out in 4 months and then I've been trying to catch up.
So we will
So
definitely share this to
yes,
everyone. Share the
yes.
link in the email together with the recording.
There's a QR code right there that you can get more information.
Okay.
Um, and but yes, so we're hoping to have more issues. If you do have a disability, you're interested in disability, please write me at Roxy at inspiringdisability.com or embracingwellness311 at gmail.com. And we'll talk. And I'm
Mm.
wanting to do a webinar with you, or let's write a story. And it may not make it into the magazine, but it's gonna get somewhere.
This truly deserves its own space and show and magazine and book. So good luck on the book. I know this magazine
It'll
is just the beginning.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Roxy, for
Thank
such an
you.
inspiring day
Yeah, thank you,
today.
Roxy. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're so brave, and I admire you. I salute you for,
So appreciate
doing
that.
this. Yeah. Is there any other comment from the group, Michelle, or any question last minute?
No, I think that was interesting, Kelly, because that was one of the other question that I had. Like, what is that in you, that quality that has you keep getting up each day and just
Yeah.
knowing? Yeah, so I
Mhm.
appreciated that answer. Yeah,
Yes. Very
yeah,
beautiful,
thank
especially
you.
for those who are, losing hope out there. I mean, some
Yeah.
disabilities are not seen, right? It's all in the mind, mental health. That's why we're doing this. Is if
Mhm.
you or someone suffering, reach out and find that community, find
Yeah.
support. And I love that you stress, knowing yourself. And when you mention divinity, I think it's all inside us, and you just have to find it and connect with it, right?
Not easy, but you have to.
Yes, with help, definitely. So thank you again so
Well,
much,
thank you for having
Roxy,
me.
for
Thank you.
the
Thank you, Roxy.
inspiration, and for doing this, for not just for the community, but for everyone, for the world, right? We
Mhm.
need you, people like you, to show us.
I'm available if people need me.
Okay. And I will drop, you mentioned your email, anything else, website, and handle on social media that you want to share where people can follow you and reach you?
Yes. So you can always find me at Embracing Wellness with by Roxy. You can also find me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Still looking for followers on Inspiring Disability. There's an Inspiring Disability Network, and check out the email addresses that I gave earlier. And if you look up Roxy B Rocker, you might just be able to find me.
Yay! Awesome. Good luck and everything, and
Thank
congratulations
you.
again. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us. And for those who
Right.
are watching, thank you. Yes, and all the best to you all. Take care.
Right.
Have
Bye-bye.
a beautiful day.
You too.